minimal APIs received multiple upgrades in .NET 10. One of those upgrades was to enable data validation on data coming in through the query string, through the headers, or through the request body. In this video, we're going to see how to add that validation to both classes and records, how to enable it in minimal APIs, and how to avoid some pitfalls you might encounter. Now, for most of my training, I work to give you an in-depth perspective on technology, but sometimes you need a quick answer to the question, how do I do this? That's why I created this 10-minute training series. Now, I already have some source code set up, and if you want this source code, the end result of it after this video, then go to the description. You can get a download link for the source code. Okay, so this is a very simple minimal API. What I have here is essentially a file new project that I stripped out some things. I added one thing, which is scalar, which allows me to run this and see a web page that I can then call my API through. I have a hello world endpoint, but then I also have this post for person and another one for login, which just accepts a person model and a login model respectively, and then returns a string that has the data from those models. Now down here is a record, the login record, and then over here the class for the person model. Those are our objects in this class or in this project. So let's run this real quick and see what it looks like. So here we have our scalar, and this allows us to come down here to person and say test request. We hit send with nothing in the object except for an ID of 1, and it said blank was assigned the ID of 1. So not working real great yet. We don't have any validation here to say stop doing that. Now, if I were to say Tim and Corey, then when I send this, it says Tim Corey was assigned the ID of 1. So it works. It's just not validating bad data coming in, which is a problem. Let's come down here and test the login. Similar thing, email address, password, and confirm password. I hit send. The login for blank was created. If I said Tim, Tim's email, like so, and hit send, the login for Tim's email was created. That's not an email address, but it worked. And the password's blank. That wouldn't be a good thing. So let's put some validation in place to stop this bad data from coming through. To do that, we have to have one modification to our API itself. In the place where you're adding services, we're going to add one more service, builder.services.add validation. What that will do is it will add the services necessary to validate our classes or records. Now, the next thing we need to do is need to put some validation. Let's start with a person model, and we're just going to do simple validation here. We're going to say required, which, by the way, is going to add the using directive for system.componentModel.data annotations. So now the first name is required, and let's make also the last name required. But I'll also say that the min length is going to be, 2. Now notice I'm stacking these here. You don't have to stack them. You can put them side by side. We'll do that for the record, just to show that we can do that. Let's start first with this though and run this. Once we do, and we go to the person and say test request, say send, it now says one or more validation errors occurred. The errors are first name is required, last name is required. So if I were to put Tim in here, the first name, it removes one of those errors because Tim is now a valid name. But let's just put C for the last name, which is too short. And it says the last name, the field last name must be a string or array type with a minimum length of 2. Cool. So now if I were to say Corey, let's not do a capital O there, Tim Corey, now Tim Corey assigned the ID of 1, we're all valid. So that's how you add validation in our API. But wait, there's more. So let's go over to a record and do the same thing. And the record's a bit different because it's a record. It's all defined in this constructor. Now I've broken it up into 3, 4, 5 lines here instead of having it be in one line because I do want to add the validation in line here. So I'm going to say required here. And again, like in before, we're adding this using directive at the top when we do that. But in this case, instead of stacking two of them, I'm going to put comma and say this is an email address, which is another validation thing. Now for password, I want to make sure that that is required. But also, I want a min length here of 10. That seems more reasonable for a password. But, and here's a tricky one, confirm password. Well, we have a new validation for this. We can say required, which actually isn't required because of the fact we can say compare. We can compare to login, let's do name of. Is this a string? So we can say login record dot password. Okay, so that's going to compare those two, but notice here it says we're expecting a close. There we go. But now it says this error right here, which says attribute compare is not valid on this decoration type. It's only valid on property or indexer, which this is going to create a property, but it's in a record, and that's the parameter passing in. And so it doesn't work that way, right? Well, actually, it can. All we're going to do is say property, colon. This is a property. So now it does work correctly. Let's run this again. And we get we can ignore the person. We've already seen that works. Let's go ahead and test our user. And it says one or more validations occurred. The email address field is required. The password field is required. Okay, so if I put test for the email address and test for the password and nothing for confirm password. Okay, so the email address field is not a valid email address. The field password must be a string array of type with minimum length of 10. And now you get a third validation error, which is confirm password and password do not match. See, they matched when they were empty strings, but that was still a problem because password needs to be more characters. So let's just do test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we hit send. The email address field is not a valid email address, and the confirm password and password do not match, but the password is now the correct length. So let's say test@test.com. And now we've got the email address working correctly, and we just need to paste in this value here. It's the same value. And now the login for test@test.com was created because it passed all the validations. So that's excellent. Okay, so that shows us how to use the validation with both records and classes. But there is a pitfall I want to point out, and this is actually an ASP.NET Core thing in general, and that is your modifier here. You see, I can make this internal, and this will work for sending in data. In fact, let's run this, and we can see that it will, in fact, send in data. So if I were to come over here, I hit test, I already have the password on the clipboard, and I can say test@test.com, and I hit send, that login is created. But what happens if I were to get rid of my password and change this just to be test? I hit send, the login for test was created. Wait a minute, it didn't run the validation. Yes, that's correct. In order to run the validation, you have to make sure that your classes or records are marked as public, even though, if you notice, this data is coming through and getting put into the object just fine. It's just not running the validation. So that's a bit of a, I guess, I'm not sure if it's an issue or not. It is documented. This is what happens. But I do wish that Visual Studio would give you an error on this, or a warning at least, saying, hey, it's not public, therefore this is not going to run the validations. So I just want to point out that that's an issue you have to make sure you're careful of, is make sure that your objects are public. Otherwise, it won't run the validations on the objects, even though it will use the objects just fine. So always test to make sure your validations are actually working. And that's the way to do that, is make sure you also have public for both your class and your record. Otherwise, the validations will just silently fail. So with that, that's how to validate on our objects without having to add a whole bunch of logic in our endpoints that checks for all these things manually. We can just decorate our objects like you would for any other C# application form, etc. So that's how to use data validation in minimal APIs in .NET 10. Again, if you want the source code for this, there's a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, I am Tim Corey.